Hey guys, welcome back. It is mid-August and in my Zone 5 garden, I have less than 60 days before my first frost. And if you're a cold climate gardener like I am, and you think there's nothing else left to plant for this season, then you would be wrong. There are tons of seeds that you can still start this month and still get a harvest before the end of the season. So today I'm going to be walking through 10 plus seeds that you should be starting right now if you live in a cold climate, and I'm going to be walking through an extended list for those who are in warmer zones like Zone 6 and Zone 7. But as usual, before we get started, if you're new here, hi guys, my name is Marsha the Blackthumbgardener and I live in Ontario, Canada, Zone 5B, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back, and thank you so much for supporting my channel. Now let's get started. So as I go through the list today, I'm going to be planting a lot of these seeds in my garden for fall. Now I am a bit behind on my fall garden because if you saw the last video, I was dealing with a raccoon issue in my garden for 2 weeks. And so I'm a little bit behind where I would like to be, but that's totally fine. There are tons of things that we can still plant in a short amount of time. And I also have some seeds that I started indoors that I have for my fall garden that we're also going to be planting out today. Starting off with number 1 on the list, we have radishes, and I'm growing French breakfast radishes this season. Now I did grow 3 different varieties in the spring, but I'm sticking with French breakfast for the fall. Now I love radishes as a pick for cold climate gardeners because it just takes under a month to harvest. So you can definitely get these started in September as well and still get a harvest before the end of the season. Now I'm going to be direct sowing these today in my raised bed, so let's do that quickly. All right, now that we've planted out our radishes, we're going to move on to number 2 on our list, and that is arugula. If you want a leafy green that's quick to mature, that doesn't take as long as your traditional lettuce heads like your iceberg or your romaine, then I would definitely give arugula a try. Don't sleep on this one. It's really tasty in salads, and this one loves the cold as well. So if you're heading into cooler temperatures, then I would definitely try arugula. So you're going to notice today that we're direct sowing a lot of items into the garden like radishes, arugula. I also have seeds that I've started indoors that I've mentioned earlier, and that's how I build out my fall garden. I like to use July to start a lot of my seeds indoors, things that take a little bit longer like my brassicas, and then I'll supplement that with direct sowing things that are quick to harvest like arugula, radishes, and other items on the list that we'll be talking about shortly. And then I'll continue my direct sowing through to September. So there's a lot of things that you can do to still fill out your garden, even if you have less than 60 days. All right, let's direct sow this into the garden as well. Okay guys, I'm sorry for the lighting, but moving on to number 3, we have mustard greens. Now this is not something I usually grow in the spring. It's usually added to my fall lineup, and I'll tuck it in between a lot of my brassicas when I plant it in the fall. I don't eat a lot of mustard greens, nor does my family, but I know a lot of our friends in the US love their mustard greens, so I'm adding it to the list for number 3. Now I'll be adding the mustard greens in between my brassicas when we plant them, so I'm going to save this packet for later on and we'll get back to it. Moving on to number 4 on the list, we have spinach. Now I started this spinach indoors on July 22nd. Now this is not seaside spinach like the tag says. This is actually Bloomsdale spinach. I started seaside, it didn't come up, and then I filled it in with Bloomsdale. I will be planting out some, and I'll also direct sow some spinach, so I have a succession of spinach in the fall. I just have to cover it because I have birds that for some reason love to eat spinach seeds. They also love to eat the young greens. So if you have the same problem as I do, I would highly recommend covering your raised beds when you start your fall garden. Moving moving on to number 5, and I think this one is a must in this climate that we're living in right now, and that is lettuce. I think lettuce is one of the easiest things that you can grow. It's a great beginner gardener seed that you can get started, and I highly recommend getting lettuce started now for the fall. Now, I have some loose leaf varieties that are my summer favorites. This is Cilantro and New Red Fire. I started some from seeds indoors, and I'm going to be planting that out into the garden today. I will also start some romaine lettuce. I'm not looking for full heads of romaine. I just like to harvest the leaves as they come. So definitely, no matter where you live and what zone you're in, get some lettuce started today. And even if you're in a hot climate, make sure you're finding those varieties that are great in your area, things that are not quick to bolt. Number 5 on the list, lettuce. This is Cilantro and this is New Red Fire. And I started these on July 22nd. Okay guys, now that my hands are clean, we're moving on to number 6, and this is one of my favorites for the fall, and that is kale. This one is lacinato kale, and I did start my kale from seed indoors. This was started on July 22nd, and this is what it looks like right now. We're going to be planting this into the garden today. Now, I believe I did have kale on the July list because this one takes at least 50 days to mature. So if you are starting it from seed now, it's totally okay because kale can handle frost, and you can also harvest the baby leaves of kale, so you don't have to worry about getting a full mature kale to harvest. You can always harvest a lot of these crops at their baby leaf stages. So definitely I would start kale no matter where you are. Actually, if you're in zone 3, I probably wouldn't start it, but zone 5, totally fine to start kale from seed. But again, I'm going to be planting mine, and I believe I started this, July 22nd. So let's get that done. Okay guys, moving on to number 7 in our list, and for some reason my hands are always going to be dirty because I just love putting them in the soil, and I just love planting with my hands without the gloves. It just feels incredible. Let me know in the comments if you are the same way as well. But moving on to number 7, again, another one of my fall favorites. We have carrots. Now, the thing about carrots, they do take between, I would say, 60 to 70 days to maturity. This variety definitely takes 70 days to maturity. This is one of my favorite fall varieties called Autumn King. Now, you don't need to wait until maturity to harvest carrots. You can harvest baby carrots. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can also harvest carrots in the snow because the colder they get, the sweeter the carrots become. The same applies to beets, which we'll talk about later on in this list. But I'm going to start these carrots anyways, and we'll probably be harvesting them in the snow. Who knows? But definitely get your carrots started. It doesn't matter. Harvest those baby carrots anyways. They're still delicious. Okay guys, we're moving on to number 8 on the list, and I am by a patch of it right now, and that is cilantro. Now this is my spring cilantro. It has already gone to seed, it's been flowering, and I'm just leaving it here in the raised beds, and I'll collect the seeds later on for next season. Honestly guys, once you grow cilantro once, you really don't need to buy the seeds ever again, because you can just harvest the seeds and use them over and over and over again, which is exactly what I've been doing. I've been using cilantro seeds from 2022. So I'm going to be planting my cilantro over here in this raised bed behind me. And then later on in the season, you'll come with me as we harvest the seeds from this plant over here. Okay, guys, we're going to have fun with number 9 because I have some in the garden that I planted in the spring that I haven't harvested yet, and I'm curious to see what it looks like. So we're going to harvest number 9 as a surprise so you can see what it is. And it's right over here. I apologize for the sun because it is bright and sunny today, but if this works, maybe we're going to have this for dinner tonight. It's right over here. Yep, you guessed it. Number 9 is beets. Now, beets is another one of those root crops that becomes sweeter as the temperature drops. Unfortunately, that beet was not doing that well. The birds actually ate all of the young leaves, and I've just kind of left it there all season. It's tiny, but it's still a harvest. So number 9 is beets. Now, I do have some beets that I've started from seed indoors, and I'm going to be covering it this time because the birds, guys, the birds are just eating all of my crops. So I do have some golden beets, and I do have another variety. I'm just going to check what it is. So that variety is red ace beets. So let's plant those beets. I'm trying to figure out which raised bed we're going to put them in. I think I'm going to put them in maybe in this raised bed right here that we've been direct sowing all of our seeds in. This one right here. Okay, guys, moving on to number 10. Now, I still think it's possible if you live in zone 5 and you have less than 60 days left to your first frost, that you can still grow some form of broccoli. You just have to be careful which variety. I don't think it's possible to grow a full broccoli head unless you started it indoors in July like I have. I've started some gypsy broccoli indoors in late July, so it's still okay for me to plant this into the garden and still get a harvest, but it will be a very late harvest. But what I would recommend if you don't have a lot of time, you're in zone 5 like me, you have less than 60 days, is trying out a broccolini variety. I'm growing Asperbrock broccolini. It's one of my favorite broccolini varieties. I'm going to show you the seed packet here. This one, Asperbrock broccolini. Love this one. Now this is, I think it's about 50 days, which is why I highly recommend this. And even if it doesn't make it to maturity, harvesting the leaves, harvesting the young broccoli heads, they're just really tasty. I find broccolini is very quick to grow even before the 50-day period. So if you don't have a lot of time, then definitely try broccolini if you're craving that broccoli flavor in the fall. So I'm not going to be starting this one from seed because, again, I've already started it indoors July 22nd. So I'm going to be planting out both my Asperbrock broccolini and also my gypsy broccoli. Now, if you are in zone 6, zone 7, then you definitely have time to plant out your broccoli. You can even start it from seed. So you can still do that if you're in zone 6, 7, but if you're in zone 5, I definitely wouldn't try growing any full head broccoli. I would just go with the broccolini. So let's get these planted into the garden. I decided to plant the broccolini down the middle of this raised bed. Okay, since I have my brassicas into this raised bed right here, I'm going to plant out my mustard greens in between. I did say that this list was 10 plus because there are still a few other things I would consider planting in zone 5. The first thing I would consider planting are green onions. Green onions are a great addition to the garden. They help to deter pests, and they're really great in terms of preserving because I usually chop them up, put them in the freezer, and then I use them all season long. You can put them in soups, you can put them in stir fries, you can pretty much use them in anything. So I would highly consider putting green onions into your fall garden. Now, the other thing that I'll be planting out today into my garden is a baby cabbage. I do like to find varieties that are less than 60 days. And so I do have a pixie cabbage variety from Renee's garden. I grew it last fall, worked out really well for me. So I'm going to grow it again this season. I didn't grow it in the spring. We don't really eat a lot of cabbage, but every once in a while, I love the taste of cabbage. So we're going to plant that into our fall garden. And the last thing I would consider growing if you're in zone 5 are Asian greens. Asian greens are very quick to harvest. Think of Napa cabbages or even bok choy. I would definitely consider those options. Now, I am Napa cabbaged out from the spring. I still have tons in my refrigerator, so I'm not going to be growing any this season, but I'll definitely consider adding some bok choy to my fall garden. Everything is finally planted. It's looking really good. You can't see a lot of the seeds that we planted in this bed because they're covered up, but let's water everything in. And then I'm going to be using this mesh cover over here with these hoops to cover it up because I definitely want to protect a lot of the crops I have here, especially the brassicas over here because the cabbage, worm, and the butterflies are out right now. So I want to make sure I'm protecting these crops. Now, for my friends in zone 6, if you have more time, then I definitely would consider planting those fast brassicas as well, like the Asperbrock broccolini or any broccoli head variety that is less than 60 days. You got to remember that even though we have X number of days until our first frost, the days are becoming shorter, so you really should be giving yourself more of a 2-week buffer if you're considering your days to maturity. Now, if I was in zone 6, I would also consider things like peas, kohlrabi, turnips on the list as well. These are all great additions to your fall garden. And for those of you in zone 7, like, you're in summer still, okay? So I'd probably, sneak in another round of beans if I were you. Things that are summer crops that are quick to mature, like zucchinis and beans, I would probably sneak them into my garden still. But you can definitely work on your fall garden and do everything that we've talked about today and more. And finally, what's a fall garden without flowers? Yes, flowers, guys. Don't give up on your flowers so soon. The fall garden is the perfect time to add flowers. Right now, I would get those zinnias started, those cosmos started. In the fall, you want something beautiful to look at as the season comes to a close. So definitely don't forget those flowers in your garden for fall. And that's it, guys. 10 plus seeds that you should be starting right now to build out the fall garden of your dreams. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you decide to grow something from this list, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.